Everybody, and welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube channel. You already know who I am. This is the video on how West Ham United can beat Leeds United on Friday night. It's going to be an interesting game. I'm really interested and intrigued by Bielsa's philosophy, asking his team to press, continually pressing as a side. You know, the defensive elements of that, how he gets the wingers to sit back in a little bit and allow that back four to come a bit more central and frustrate West Ham. It is going to be an interesting game, and I think Leeds at times will completely dominate the possession. They'll push 2-8s up into almost 10 positions. And they'll obviously have that sitting midfielder in Calvin Phillips to prevent the breakdown, particularly on transition, and make it difficult for West Ham to get at them. But I'm going to look at some of the key players that West Ham need to deal with effectively in order to get a result against Leeds, and some of the players that we can do that with. So let's start with the opposition. Make sure you like and subscribe as well to the West Ham My YouTube channel before we get into things. Now, this man, incredibly impressed with this guy. I haven't seen too much of him before he came to the Premier League. When I've seen him, every time he gets his ball, his first instinct is to take it and pass the ball forward and play through the lines. And you don't really see players like that anymore. You know, that kind of difference between a holding midfielder that likes to keep the ball and play sideways, and you've got the attacking midfielders that like to get on the end of a ball or maybe progress with it a little bit more. You don't get players like Mateusz Klich that can come to either wing, pick the ball up and try and play balls through the lines in midfield. Now, the issue with this game, and particularly for West Ham, is the fact that we won't be able to press the likes of Rice and Soucek up against Klich. I believe Rodrigo, as Bielsa's obviously let off that he's going to be playing in the side. It's going to be tough for our two holding midfield players to go and press them to try and win the ball off. And I'm interested to see Klich's role in a midfield that isn't saturated, where he's going to get space and time to get his head up and try and play through the lines. And I am worried about his ability to find the likes of Patrick Bamford. Possibly if you've got Rafinha on that right-hand side, you know, Jack Harrison coming in central. Maybe he's got players that you can work with. Rodrigo as well, if you've got the additional movement from him. He's the guy that will create for Leeds. He will be the guy that manages to try and break West Ham's low block. And so I think if the two midfielders want to try and win possession and transition, and obviously we're going to have to use them effectively to get the ball up the pitch and try and get service to the likes of Elland or Jarrod Bowen or Pablo Fornals, whether we are then going to concede ground, you know, just in front of that back three. And we saw against Manchester United, particularly when players have got space in front of that West Ham back three, they can really hurt us. So it is going to be an interesting battle. We need to keep an eye on him. We need to nullify him. I expect West Ham to allow him to have a lot of the ball. I think if we sit a little bit deeper, we've got enough in terms of that back five to deal with it, I think, as well. What was impressive to me, particularly about Fabian Balbuena's performance against Manchester United, was his ability to go for the ball and win the ball. And we've seen him be too aggressive previously, and that's been at his detriment, and players have got him behind. And you can't do that with the likes of Patrick Bamford and the quality of the ball that could have come from Mateusz Klich. So, interesting. I think that's the player we need to nullify for Leeds. Equally, that's the player for Leeds that I look at and think he's their best chance of creating clear-cut chances. They'll put pressure on West Ham all day long, but Klich is the guy that's got that ability to play through the lines. Now, a player of Leeds that I think West Ham can exploit, and this of course depends on the midfield protection that he gets, is Liam Cooper. Now, Liam Cooper obviously has almost had a bit of a meteoric rise from League One, and obviously, like most players in this side, have transformed under Marcelo Bielsa. And I was really interested in that Chelsea game, and I haven't watched too much Leeds to understand the rationale behind this, but when they've got Stuart Dallas playing as that pivot, the two centre-backs become isolated. Naturally, the full-backs push up as well, particularly when Leeds have got the ball. And there is difficulties in them getting back and trying to protect them. But equally, the fact that when both centre-backs see the ball, they go and press the ball. Now, in West Ham's system, you very rarely see the players try and press the ball. They allow the midfield to do that. Leeds, there's obviously a massive emphasis on the players going to try and win the ball, winning the turnover, and then progressing with it and being very, very quick on that. And Liam Cooper is someone that I look at probably as the least mobile out of the centre-backs. I believe that they're going to play Stuart Dallas there, or is it Alioski? I'm not too sure. It could be Alioski, actually. So possibly a little bit more mobility with that, not a natural centre-back. The ethos of those two centre-backs will be to try and press the ball. And I look at Liam Cooper and I think he lacks a little bit of mobility, particularly on that left-hand side for him, but that right-hand side for Chelsea, I thought, particularly with the movement of Timo Werner and Giroud, it was hard for him. And I look at him as a way that if West Ham can get Jarrod Bowen into that final third, that he can take him on and he can beat him. Equally, if Jarrod Bowen is there, he can attract Liam Cooper out of position. And he allows the likes of Sebastien or Pablo Fornals on the far side to put pressure to get him behind and to create clear-cut space. And, you know, in previous games, West Ham have struggled to get that space. Obviously against Manchester United with the press that we put on, we did win it in high areas. This is really about the transition. And I believe that if West Ham can pick this up in the final third, target Liam Cooper, particularly with the likes of Jarrod Bowen, and take him on and drag him out of position that he's encouraged to do so in this Bielsa side, then you'll create space for the front three. And West Ham will have a lot more chances to score in this game than possibly we expect. Of course, it depends on the press of Leeds. They will be intense. They will make it difficult for us to get out. But if we can get out, he's certainly a player for Leeds United that I think West Ham should target and pull out of position. So I obviously have mentioned one of the players that I think is going to be really crucial in how West Ham beat Leeds United on Friday evening. But I want to talk about another, and it's dealing with the threat of Mateusz Klich. And it is, all Leeds fans will know him, Declan Rice. So that with Rice smile. Listen, we're not going to go into a Calvin Declan debate. I'll have it on All Leeds TV. But listen, that battle for me isn't between Declan Rice and Phillips, particularly now I see that Phillips is going to be more of that defensive midfield, and it's going to make it hard for West Ham, and he's going to give that protection to the likes of Cooper. So I'm interested to see how West Ham deal with that, whether we can possibly put pressure on Phillips, make it difficult for him to play out from the back. But in terms of West Ham's defensive midfielder, Declan Rice, he's got to be able to deal with the likes of Mateusz Klich and Rodrigo that are going to put significant pressure on that West Ham back three. They're going to have a lot of the ball, in my opinion. I'll be interested to see how Declan Rice and Tomas Soucek in general try and nullify the two, particularly Declan Rice. I look at Declan Rice as possibly the one with a better distribution, the better passing range than Soucek, and I don't think West Ham are going to be able to afford carrying the ball in midfield, particularly through Rice, because if he carries the ball and he loses the ball for whatever reason, if Phillips is pushed up and that defensive lead is pushed up, we're going to have spacing behind. Rodrigo's going to thrive. If you can get the ball to Klich, he's going to find Bamford. And then it's pretty statutory. So, Declan Rice positioning in this game for me is the key to be disciplined. We know that he can play this defensive midfield role. It's fantastic that he's showing box-to-box attributes that we haven't seen previously. For me, there's a huge defensive emphasis on Declan Rice in this game. And I think we're going to see the best of him, because I think he's going to concede possession. He's going to allow the likes of Klich and Rodrigo to have the ball. And I back him. He's an incredibly intelligent defensive midfielder. He understands the spaces. He knows when to cut players off and win the ball and use his distribution to try and get it into the front men, possibly the wing-backs as well in this game. So for me, Declan Rice has got a massive role to play in West Ham's road to victory. I also want to talk about this guy. Possibly could talk about Cyber Rama in the same kind of breath, but Jarrod Bowen. For me, like I say, he's crucial. And listen, I know there's a lot of stick kicking around. The chances that he misses. Yes, his decision-making has been poor recently. I can't lie. But against Leeds, and again, I feel like he'll have the space to run into. And his directness and his ability to beat a man is going to trouble the likes of Liam Cooper and Stuart Dallas, even if he can get back down that left-hand side. And the reason why I say this, Leeds' back four will come central. They'll concede width. And I don't believe that you can concede width against someone like Jarrod Bowen, who has got a good delivery if he cuts into his left and can create chances for Allaire. It might actually suit Allaire, to be honest, airily, given the fact that Leeds struggle from deliveries and dealing with them. But certainly, if he can get in behind, particularly on the counter-attack, and he can isolate the likes of Liam Cooper, for me, he beats him all day long, hands down, and he's going to be attracted to try and press Jarrod Bowen, which is going to be an absolute no-go. Equally, like I've said before, if West Ham attack with numbers, you're going to see the likes of Alioski and Liam Cooper going to have to press the ball, and they're going to leave space in behind for the likes of Sebastien Allaire, who isn't naturally the most mobile, but could get the time and the space he needs in order to finish. The massive, great caveat to all of this is the fact that Calvin Phillips is probably playing a defensive midfield role, which I don't like. When he plays in the defensive midfield role, he'll slot in either side of those two centre-backs. He'll look to pick the ball up. He's so crucial from the way that they play out from the back, and he offers so much protection. He's fantastic at the tackle. His positioning is very, very good. Bielsa is going to ask him to sit and be defensive and break up that transition. It doesn't mean that West Ham can't get in behind. I think particularly when they push their fullbacks up, Jarrod Bowen, if it was playing Ben Rama off the left, would get the spaces in behind on slightly wider areas. But I look at the service potentially into someone like Sebastien Allaire. Could be stifled if Phillips begins to play in that pivot role. So, again, like I've said, Jarrod Bowen, Declan Rice, defensively and offensively are the two keys for West Ham in order to win this game. And I think Leeds, Mateusz Klich goes under the radar quite a bit, actually. But in terms of his final product and getting it into their goal man in Patrick Bamford, he needs to be nullified and we need to be disciplined. And I look at Liam Cooper in that defence for them as the less mobile of the two centre-backs, particularly with Alioski coming in. And I do believe in transitions. Not necessarily, if Leeds manage to get some sort of shape, because I think it could be quite difficult for West Ham to break them down in central areas. And we know Bowen as an inverted winger will want to do so. But certainly, if he's able to come a little bit central and the space opens up between the likes of Liam Cooper and Alioski, Jarrod Bowen has the finishing ability and the directness and the pace to get in behind and either score a goal, get a chance for himself, or create for Allaire and Fornals. So that is how, and that is where I think West Ham will beat Leeds United on Friday evening. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Obviously, make sure you like the video. If you do like it, make sure you leave a comment. I want to know what you lot are thinking about this, whether I've got it right. Any Leeds fans out there, do you think maybe I'm talking rubbish? Of course, I'm all ears. Put it in the comment section. If you're new as well, make sure you subscribe to the West Ham Way YouTube channel. There'll be a watch along on Friday evening from 7 o'clock, the build up, score predictions, a bit of analysis as well leading up to the game at 7:30. And then you'll get all your post-match reaction. I'll do my individual post-match reaction with my thoughts on the game. And then I'm going to get, obviously, Joe and Oscar over from All Leeds TV to discuss all of our thoughts from the game. And fingers crossed West Ham come away with the result and I'm not sitting there all grumpy and getting the ump with both of them because it's in their sound, lads. And I'm really, really looking forward to it. So check that one out. And obviously, as ever, until next time, take care.